Okay, so welcome to another deep dive. And today, we're really going deep, way beyond the surface
Mm-hmm.
to understand how poverty is being redefined.
Okay.
And we're going to be using this thought-provoking article as a guide.
Okay.
It's called 10 Signs You Are the New Poor in 2025.
All right.
And just want to say right off the bat, this isn't about fear-mongering or anything.
Right, right.
It's really more about kind of exploring how this concept of poverty is changing
Yeah.
and what that might mean for, well, for all of us, really.
It's interesting because I think this article really challenges that, that traditional view of poverty. It's not just about income anymore.
Right.
It's looking at all these different factors that can actually make it really hard to not just survive, but also to thrive.
Exactly. And they lay out these 10 signs, right? And
Yeah.
it's kind of like a broader picture of what poverty can look like.
It is.
And I think one that really kind of hit me was this idea of debt dependence.
Right.
Have you ever felt that kind of trapped feeling
Yeah.
with credit card debt?
Oh, totally.
So the article, it argues that this, relying on credit for just daily expenses,
Uh-huh.
it's becoming a major part of this new definition of poverty.
And what's really concerning about that is it's often like a mask
Right.
for deeper issues, right?
Right.
It's not always about just frivolous spending.
Mhm.
It's really about this inability to make ends meet
Yeah.
on wages that haven't really kept up with the cost of living.
Yeah, exactly. Which leads us to the next one.
Yeah.
Side hustle dependence.
Oh yeah.
It's not even a choice for some people anymore.
It's a necessity.
It's a necessity. It's just to keep your head above water,
Yeah, keep the lights on.
So I'm curious, for you, has you ever felt this pressure, or do you know anyone who's had to constantly hustle?
I mean, it's pretty common these days, right?
Yeah.
But it does raise a lot of questions about the gig economy.
Oh.
On one hand, it offers this flexibility.
Yeah, for sure.
But then on the other hand, you're often missing out on those traditional benefits like
Oh.
healthcare, retirement savings,
Yeah.
and that leaves people incredibly vulnerable.
And that actually ties into the next point that they bring up, right?
Yeah.
Which is limited access to affordable healthcare.
Huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And people are actually delaying or completely avoiding treatment
Because they can't afford it.
because they just can't afford it.
It's really sad.
It is sad. And then it can lead to even bigger health problems down the road.
Absolutely. It's like a vicious cycle,
It is. Yeah.
Avoid preventative care.
Then you end up with more serious, more expensive issues later.
Right.
And I think the article really connects that to the systemic problem of rising healthcare costs.
Yeah. It's a huge issue.
It's affecting everyone, but especially those who are already struggling.
Yeah. And then kind of along similar lines, they talk about housing instability.
Yes.
And that can mean so many different things.
It can.
Like constantly moving, couch surfing,
Yeah.
living in cramped or even unsafe conditions.
Makes it really difficult to build any kind of stable life.
Exactly. And you need that stability for everything, right?
Right.
Your mental well-being, trying to advance in your career.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
And, the article highlights that rising cost of housing.
Yeah.
And then, the wages not really going up at the same pace.
Right.
It's pushing a lot of people into these really precarious living situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Another point that they make, and it's kind of surprising, when you think about it,
Okay.
is food insecurity.
Right.
And they define that as not having that reliable access to enough food.
Affordable, nutritious food
Affordable, yes, nutritious food.
to live a healthy life.
And it's hard to imagine, right?
It is.
Having to choose between putting food on the table.
Or paying your rent.
Yeah.
It's a real struggle for a lot of people.
It's heartbreaking, and it really makes you think about our social safety net, right?
Yeah, it does.
And, are those systems actually working?
You're right. Are they equipped
Yeah.
to help people who are struggling with this?
Yeah, exactly. And then here's one that you might not immediately think of when you think of poverty, the digital divide.
Oh, that's a big one.
It is. And they're arguing that, not having reliable internet access.
Can really limit your opportunities.
It can.
Yeah.
For education, for job searching.
Yeah. Even staying connected.
Yeah, even just staying connected with people who could support you.
Right. It becomes a barrier.
It's like this hidden barrier
Yeah.
that can make things even harder.
And especially now, when everything is so reliant on technology,
Exactly. Yeah.
if you don't have that consistent access,
Yeah.
you're at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah. And I think it's important to remember,
Mm-hmm.
that it's not just about the practical stuff.
Right.
It's also about the mental and emotional toll
Yeah.
that financial insecurity can take.
Absolutely.
You
It's
know,
stressful.
it's constant stress, anxiety,
Yeah.
feelings of hopelessness.
It wears you down.
It does. It really does.
And I think, the article is really pushing for more recognition of that
Yeah.
and for more support for
Yeah.
people who are dealing with that.
So, I mean, I think it's safe to say, right,
Mm-hmm.
the face of poverty is changing.
It's evolving.
It's evolving. It's not just about, how much money you make.
Yeah, it's a much more complex picture.
It's about all these different challenges.
And it makes you wonder, what can we do about it
Yeah.
as individuals, as a society?
Yeah.
What are the steps we can take to break down these barriers?
Yeah.
How do we create a more equitable future
Mm-hmm.
for everyone?
It's a big question, and I think it's one that we all need to be thinking about.
Absolutely.
What role do we play in this?
Mm-hmm.
And how can we push for changes that actually support people?
Who are struggling in this new reality.
Yeah, exactly. It's not an easy answer,
It's not.
but I think the first step is starting the conversation.
Absolutely. Awareness is key.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing here. So
So keep the conversation going.
keep the conversation going. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our deep dive for today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, it was great.
It's great talking to you.
It was.
And to all of you listening out there,
Yeah.
keep thinking deeply.
Keep diving deep.
And we'll see you next time.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.